Hey, internets! We got a video for you to see.
Ooh, is it the video with the two girls?
Whoa there, champ. Not safe for work.
Oh man, those are our favorite videos!
No, we love videos set to melodramatic music and slow motion.
We love videos with boobies!
So is this a video or what?
It's a game!
A game starring yours truly. Come on, let's scratch that Deadpool itch.
Back, back, back!
Comedy games are few and far between. Sure, many developers manage to weave small chunks of humour into their titles, but it's not often that one of the main ambitions of a game is to make you laugh. This is where Deadpool tries to step in, but slips on a banana peel and violently crashes face first into the ground. Deadpool so desperately wants to be funny, but when its main repertoire of jokes relies heavily on crude, juvenile knob gags, it's hard to be entertained. Honestly, it doesn't get much wittier or more sophisticated and ha! Did you hear that? I said package, which is another word for dick. I am fucking hilarious. From what I've gathered from the internet, opinion on the game's humour is pretty divided. There are those who think Deadpool is side-splittingly hilarious, while others believe it to be woefully unfunny. As you've probably gathered, I am more in the latter camp. However, there are some mild chuckles to be found. Moments like having to pull your own impaled body off a spike but casually taking a rest, or repeatedly slapping Wolverine across the face did elicit a small laugh from me. The problem is that these moments are buried in an avalanche of dick and fart jokes. Deadpool contains a lot of self-referential and fourth wall-breaking humour, much like in his comic book appearances. This game essentially revolves around Deadpool starring in his own game. This means Deadpool will phone up actual developer High Moon Studios to demand they patch stuff or even chat with Nolan North about doing the voiceover for the in-game game. Nolan North actually voices Deadpool in this game, so this was actually one of the few somewhat humorous moments. Nolan North has actually done a great job with the voice acting here, and it's actually quite impressive how many lines of dialogue he has in this game. It's just a shame then that the material he has to work with isn't very good. Gameplay too is also a bit rubbish. Deadpool intertwines hack and slash and third-person shooting with unimpressive results. You have light and heavy attacks and a button for countering, which also doubles up as a teleport ability. At any time you're free to whip out your firearms and start blasting away enemies, turning the game into more of a run-and-gun shooter. It's functional and you may even find it to be somewhat enjoyable at the beginning of the game. But it gets repetitive very fast, even with the inclusion of character progression, which lets you unlock upgrades and new combos for your weapons over time. Deadpool even quips about this early in the game, calling progression a must-have feature. I disagree. In fact, I think relying on it to provide varied gameplay instead of actually developing additional elements to mix things up is lazy, but that's a discussion for another time. While I didn't find the combat particularly difficult, the camera did try its best to make it so, often ramming into a wall and obscuring my vision, and generally just not being very helpful. Level design is very basic. You run from area to area and fight a wave or two of bad guys. Only if you can be bothered, of course. It's entirely possible to complete large sections of levels by running past all the enemies. Occasionally you'll partake in some platforming sections. Platforming basically boils down to hopping across small gaps and wall jumping. Wall jump areas are lit up in bright green, so you literally have to be blind to miss them. The biggest problem though is that the levels are just so dull and forgettable. There's a dingy rundown prison level, a dingy catacombs level, oh, and a dingy sewer level, because everyone loves sewer levels, don't they? Deadpool himself even mocks it.
Ah, a sewer. How quaint.
The developers know sewer levels are shit, yet they still put one in the game. Later in the same level you encounter a powered down switch, and you have to flip two separate switches to enable it.
Oh, clearly a video game. A powered down switch. Oh, what shall I do? My oh my, there must be a way to turn this on.
Maybe two switches somewhere close by.
Again, Deadpool openly mocks this, so why is this even in the game? It's clear the developers are trying to parody video game cliches, but instead they're merely drawing attention to the fact they're falling for the exact same tropes. Cinematics are pre-rendered at a low resolution, creating a clear distinction between them and real-time cutscenes. They're usually short and fairly infrequent, allowing you to just get on with the gameplay. I can't decide whether that's a good or bad thing though. The visuals do the job, but they never go above and beyond. Deadpool is just a bland looking game. There are a few noticeable low-res textures on display, which, again, Deadpool points out.
Starting to get the feeling that no love was put into my apartment.
Not just your apartment, Deadpool. There was especially no love put into making Deadpool a great PC port. Firstly, there's a miserable lack of graphics options. No advanced settings whatsoever. You can only change the resolution, VSync and select from 4 graphics presets, low, medium, high and extra. I was running at a rock solid 60 frames per second on extra, but there would be occasional frame rate drops for seemingly no reason. There's a scene near the beginning of the game where you blow up a bouncy castle and the frame rate takes a nosedive here. If you jump on, the frame rate actually halves. While I found the keyboard and mouse controls to be bearable once I've made a few tweaks, this game is definitely optimised for controller, though that's not to say that keyboard and mouse doesn't have its advantages. A common strategy for defeating the stronger enemies is to teleport behind them and hit them until they turn around. When you're teleporting with such frequency, it can be difficult to keep the camera trained on your foe with the analog sticks since there's no camera assist. The mouse definitely has the advantage in this regard. However, I was saddened to find that the keyboard and mouse controls aren't completely remappable. You can only select from the controls on a list, so I couldn't assign weapon changing to the mouse wheel for example, or assign light or heavy attack to one of the side buttons on my mouse. Also, you can only assign the left and right mouse buttons as the secondary controls. So while you can use left and right mouse buttons for firing and aiming, the primary controls are keyboard buttons. So if a cutscene prompts you to press the fire button, it will tell you to press the random button on the keyboard rather than the mouse button.
Damn it, Wade!
This isn't so much a major issue, but it reflects poorly on the quality of the game, and makes it appear as if the development team put barely any effort into porting this to PC. Which I'm inclined to think is true. To conclude then, all but the most die-hard fans should probably avoid Deadpool. While it isn't inherently a bad game, it's just completely unremarkable in every way. It's a boring experience and painfully mediocre for the whole 5 to 6 hours it takes to complete. If you're looking for a quality superhero game, Batman Arkham Asylum and Arkham City are cheap. If you're looking more specifically for a good hack and slash game, try the newest Devil May Cry instead. If you're looking for a game to make you laugh, play through Portal 2 or the legendary Monkey Island series. Even indie titles like Gunpoint and To the Moon provide genuine laughs that are completely absent from this game. Some people will like the humour in Deadpool, and that's fine. It's just a shame that High Moon Studios bet everything on the game's comedy, because Deadpool doesn't have solid gameplay to fall back on if you're not laughing. Spend your money on a more deserving game instead. Company of Heroes 2 is great, and if you're a PS3 owner, The Last of Us is something you should definitely consider. If you really must play Deadpool, then I'd recommend that you wait until it has gone down in price first. Because it's not a very good game.
Seriously, roll credits. We're done here. Holy shit. That was shit.